Hello, everybody. Welcome to Lab 2 of Argo CD. Let's remind ourselves of the requirements. We're supposed to install Argo CD on a cluster, and then we're going to set up port forwarding so you can get to it. We'll get the admin password, and then we're going to actually define an app that doesn't have app sync on, and we're going to look at that, sync manually, and then define another app that has auto sync on. So this gives us a view of how Argo CD works. It pulls a repo, some kind of branch, and if there's a change, it deploys the change automatically to a cluster that's already running, and it knows that because we have Argo CD installed on the cluster, and the app was defined with the Git repo as a backend. All right, so when we left off on part 1 of this video, on lab 1 of this series, we had only gotten up to step C, create a namespace. So let's look at the instruction in a better way. This is the Git repo I have, and you will have the link to this on the description. We had gotten up to step 12. Now we're going to do step 13, where we're going to actually install Argo CD on the cluster that we have. So just to show you, I already have a cluster running. We get nodes. So that's my cluster, and with just one node. All right, so let's install Argo CD on this cluster by basically deploying a whole set of resources from a website that's publicly available. And you will see us creating a whole bunch of things, all in the namespace Argo CD. We confirm this by, let's make this a little shorter so you can see better, by running k get all -n argo cd. These are all the resources created in Argo CD by this installation process. So that was quick. Now we're now going to install Argo CD CLI on our Mac. I've already done this, but I'll leave the instruction here for you. But you can confirm this by running Argo CD version. Okay. Looks like I'm running a version that's almost 8 months old. I really should update. Anywho, that is installed. Now, now that it's CLI installed, we can. This is for in Linux, so it doesn't matter in our case right now. All right, so now we're going to change the service type to load balancer on the Argo CD. So let's run the patch command. Patch basically it's like a modify command on kubectl, right? So you're going to patch our service that has a name Argo CD server in the namespace Argo CD, and then we're going to change the type to load balancer. It's kind of a magic with the kubectl command. So that is done. Now we can confirm that it did actually work by just describing the service that we just modified. And somewhere in here is the type, namespace type. There's type load balancer. All right, so step 17 is done. Now we're going to set up port forwarding so we can actually hit the server on our local Mac, because the port we're going to hit on the Mac is going to actually get forwarded to a service in Kubernetes. So we already have a nice little command for that, and I'll explain that in just a second. And this is the reason why we did the load balancer. The load balancer type has an external IP that you can get to. All right, so that is done. Basically, we're forwarding the port from this service that you saw earlier in this namespace, and we're going to say, hey, local port 8080 will actually be 443 on that service. So I ran out of time. This was lab 2, and I will see you on lab 3 for Argo CD.